there's no country that is anywhere close to self-sufficient in semiconductors. And that's been critical because the advances we've seen have depended on extraordinary specialization, which has been a good thing. And so the challenge we face now as we think about our supply chains resilient is to keep all the innovation advantages of specialization, but to nevertheless de-risk where there are concerns about over-concentration. And that's the balance that we're trying to strike right now.
For the next 5-10 years or so, the big question will be, do all governments want to fund the same type of semiconductor industry, or should we move to a more differentiated mode where allies work together and strengthen the respective strength? And as you have said before, in the United States, there are different strengths when it comes to pre-existing innovation ecosystems, pre-existing semiconductor companies. In Europe, companies are focusing on different types of semiconductor.
The simple question of will controls work at lower levels of precision needed? The answer is it gets much more complex because you've got a broader set of suppliers. And I think that has led policymakers to hesitate about expanding controls beyond their current pretty narrow focus, because there's a perception that they might end up hurting Western firms, but not actually holding Chinese competitors back if they can find domestic suppliers.
If we look at very specialized products and semiconductors, which could be seen as force multipliers, then having a national security perspective in the very narrow sense on those, and really making sure that those are not available to countries which the US would consider adversaries, I think is a very reasonable approach. If we are talking about a product which is in general needed to run the economy, the proverbial toaster or washing machine, the discussion becomes a very different one. Then we get into the question of economic security, perhaps, or really just into the question of free trade and whether that's more beneficial or less beneficial.
There's a bit of a nanofixation. Obviously, AI is critically important. GPUs, which are the chips that train AI systems, hugely important, but they're not enough. You do need the rest of the foundational base, and I think that is one of the areas of increasing focus right now as policymakers are coming to realize that there is a lot of competition internationally in this segment, and there's a need to make sure we've got the resilience in our supply chains that we used to have and we think we still have and want to keep having in the future.